Welcome back to SFC Student News. I'm Jack Scott. The quarter has passed and a lot has happened at Sioux Falls Christian. With the start of the new year, there was a lot of new experiences and new faces. I heard you got to interview a new teacher that's coming back.
Yeah, I had a chance to interview Mrs. Desatal. She once taught biology for sophomores and then had 1 year break because of some cancer treatments. Now she's teaching biology in middle school.
Let's check it out.
Mrs. Desatal, the teacher of biology in high school, made her come back to school after a 2 year break. Now she's teaching in middle school. I asked her, her students, and a former student, Jack Scott, who had Mrs. Desatal as a teacher 2 years ago.
I had Mrs. Desatil when I was a sophomore in biology. She was very relaxed and she was very nice and she was very understanding and she taught very well. She was one of a lot of people's favorite teachers and it was pretty sad when she left. It's kind of nice to know that she recovered fully.
As obvious as it is, many students enjoyed her as a teacher and were very sad when she left. But let's ask Mrs. Desatal herself about why she left, why did she come back, and how does she like teaching middle school compared to high school?
I was dealing with some cancer treatment that really wore me out, and I decided I needed some time off, so I took a year off just to recuperate my health. Yeah, and then came back to middle school. It's different, but I really like it because the kids are all really very excited about science. Middle school, they need a lot more information, a lot more guidance, I guess is a better word for it. A lot more guidance, a lot more reassurance. Where high school, they kind of already know things and they're not too stressed out about things. And but like I said too, my sixth graders are much more excited about science than my sophomores ever were.
I have also gotten a chance to interview her students.
She's fun, lets us do stuff, experiments probably, with beagles and explosions maybe. What else? Baking soda, more explosions, and just going around with my group. She's probably the best teacher to me.
She's very nice, laid back, and isn't so strict, but yet she has rules. Helps us with assignments and kind of understands if we can't have the time and stuff, but still is strict with them. She's fun. She's a fun teacher. She's probably one of my favorites.
This was SFC Student News, and I'm Yaroslav Zhilin.
She sounds like a great teacher, Slava.
Speaking of new teachers, I've heard you've gotten a chance to interview a new teacher too.
I also did get to interview a teacher. I interviewed Mr. Skinner about his new job as the weightlifting coach. Let's go check it out. This year we'll be talking about how Mr. Skinner's the new weightlifting coach. Let's go talk to him. Over the years, Mr. Skinner has taught physical science, anatomy and physiology, and medical careers, and has always seen God through how the human body functions. He has come to appreciate the new class just as much as any of the others. We asked Mr. Skinner why he decided to take this new position.
Well, due to Mr. Pettingill's new assignment as the Dean of Students, he was looking for someone to continue the program. And in dialogue last spring, he and I talked about the fact that I have a PE background and I really like to take care of my own body and be aware of health and nutrition and weightlifting and training and all that. So he asked me if I'd do it.
We asked Mr. Skinner why exercise was important to him.
Exercise is a way that I tend to de-stress. It's a way I feel healthy. I know it's a weird expression, what does healthy feel like, but it makes me feel more comfortable with the way who I am. It's a way to get out and explore. I've seen so many cool things by either running or riding my bike through an area which I probably would never have been through if it wasn't for exercise. So exercise is very important, and it's kind of you're a little bit of a captive time. You can communicate with God too.
We asked a SFC student, Yaroslav Zhilin, what he thinks about this new class.
Weightlifting is a lot of fun. I think Mr. Skinner is a good teacher. He does a good job explaining how we're supposed to lift and how our muscles work, but I completely dislike the fact that we have to take final tests.
Mr. Skinner and his students have both enjoyed this new opportunity and will continue to enjoy it in the years to come. This has been Jack Scott, SFC Student News. From physical activity to physics, Courtney is here. to tell us about a classroom experience that has been enjoyed by all parties.
Yeah, so we did a building project with catapults in Miss Vanderveen's physics class, and we did a unit studying projectile and trajectory, and all of us had a lot of fun. We learned a lot.
Let's go see.
Catapults are really fun to make, and it's a cool way of like seeing the projectile motion in action, so they have to go through and kind of calculate that stuff. So
our 6th period physics class just went through a unit studying projectile and trajectory. To see these forces in action, we did a building project. We were grouped into 4s, and we had a few days to build catapults. The only catch was our ball had to be launched 1 meter high.
I asked Miss Vanderveen where she got this idea and how long she had been doing this project.
I kind of adopted that for physics. I wanted to do more like building projects, so I try to do something each chapter or each unit. I have been doing this project for every year I've taught, so this is my 4th year teaching, my 4th time doing this project.
Then I asked Lynn what she thought about the overall project.
I thought it was fun. I mean, I wasn't there to build it, but it was fun watching everyone launch theirs because there's some pretty cool ones.
Next, I asked the teacher how this year's catapults went.
This year's, everyone's worked and like fired pretty regularly. They were all kind of about the same size.
I asked Lynn if she ever doubted her product.
No, I was expecting it to go way worse. I mean, I don't want to sound rude to my group and all, but it just didn't look like it would go far. And then there was other groups who were just like launching, and I was like, okay. But it did really well.
Yeah.
Then I questioned Miss Vanderveen if she was concerned about this project and if any hazards might arise.
I always have concerns when we build stuff, especially with the catapults. Usually kids use like bungee cords and that kind of stuff, and that does have, I mean, you hear stories about bungee cord incidents that have gone wrong, and so bungees were more of my concern. To kind of counteract that, they had to have some kind of like trigger so that they could leave it locked and loaded, so that hopefully some of those issues wouldn't arise.
In the end, our whole class had a lot of fun building these catapults, and we learned a lot from this unit.
Physics is great. Physics is fun. Physics is for everyone.
That looks like a great example of community building. I hear Elijah Bird had an opportunity to help the surrounding communities.
Yes, so Mrs. Mulder brought Socktober to the SFC school. So it was a great way to bring SFC together into donating socks for people that don't have any.
That looks like a really interesting story. Let's check it out.
It's amazing how everything that we have, we take for granted. Now, socks is one thing that we have every day. There's one way that we can change lives, and that is through donating socks. Now, I'm going to show you how Socktober has changed other people's lives.
I asked Mrs. Mulder what Socktoberfest was.
So Socktober is really an idea that Kid President, who has a YouTube channel, is a young man who likes to do good and tell people about ways to help others out. And so Kid President had put out there, I believe this is maybe the 2nd or 3rd year, and it's just a drive to try to get people to donate socks.
I asked Caleb Walker what Socktoberfest means to him.
I think it's kind of a cool event because we could kind of help the homeless people and people that really don't have that much money and donate them socks and clothes without really having to go interact, kind of doing it without interacting physically.
The most needed pieces in shelters and homeless places for people who are in need of things. And so he just tries to get people to gear up and donate socks during the month of October. So socks plus October equals Socktober. And we decided to help because this past Saturday we had a teachers conference with teachers from around the state. And so all those teachers brought socks from their own schools, and we donated a total of 350 pairs of socks.
Elijah Bird for SFC Student News.
That was a great way for our school to get involved with the community. Our own Daniel Sachs had the opportunity to learn about another group that's been building community within our school. The name of this group is Collision, and here's more about it.
Two of the fundamental things that make Sioux Falls Christian, are faith and unity.
But what does that actually look like in the average life of an SFC student? Well, let's go see.
In the spring of 2014, several students got together to form a small prayer group that would later evolve into Collision.
I know the first year when I started, it was just me and two of my siblings and maybe a couple of friends, and now it's really grown. I'd say there's probably 15 kids that come there regularly now, so that's cool.
As the group began to grow, Charlie Sanders came to be the leader and face of Collision in our school. We sat down with him and asked him what his goal for Collision was.
My heart for this school was unity, for them to impact each other and see family here, because I know it's a lot of different cliques that are represented that come along with different denominations and different churches and stuff, and try to work on that and being the body of Christ together at this school.
We asked a few of the Sioux Falls Christian students what they thought the goal of Collision was.
I think the one word I would use would be unity. I definitely think that that's Charlie's vision for Collision, and just bringing unity to the school of Sioux Falls Christian and using the prayer group as a way to do that.
We asked Charlie if he thinks he's been making progress towards his goal of bringing unity to Sioux Falls Christian.
God has, and it's been challenging early on, this understanding the Christian school culture, which it was foreign territory for me, but I've learned a lot, and we've seen a lot of growth here.
And that's what it means to be an SFC student, to take a simple goal like unity and start something bigger than yourself. This has been Daniel Sachs reporting for SFC Student News.
As you can see, there are a lot of new opportunities to get involved. Carter DeYoung is here with a new teacher and a new class called STEM. Carter, what's STEM all about?
Well, STEM stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics, and it provides a fun new way for middle schoolers to learn while using hands-on technology and basic problem-solving skills.
Sounds like a great opportunity. Let's check it out.
A new class in middle school provides a fun new way of learning with hands-on technology.
We asked Mr. Vinsolen a few questions about STEM class.
STEM class, well, first off, it stands for Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics. It's an easier going structured classroom where kids are more involved with problem-based learning, more activities, and more hands-on stuff.
STEM class is being able to do like all of the experiments, and Mr. Vinsolen's pretty awesome, so having him as a teacher is pretty cool.
The main goal that I have for the students is that they address school in a different way. Too often kids come in and they think they have to get the good grade and they have to get the work done. I want them to come into this classroom and participate. I want them to see their progression. I want them to be involved and to explore. Students do a variety of things. A couple examples would be they create their own water filters, they program a couple different kinds of robots, Sphero spark balls, and they use a Parrot jumping drone. And they have the opportunity to create and design something with Tinkercad, and then we print it out with our 3D printer.
We're learning to use like 3D printers, and that's fun to do, and how to work well with other people.
They also do some activities with recycled materials, creating their own cars.
And he does like a lot of different variety of things, so you get to learn how to do multiple different things.
I'm not as concerned with the total grade. I'm more concerned with how they work together and how enthusiastic they are when they run into a problem or they get to use a new piece of technology.
Speaking of new teaching techniques, Connor Vanderhaar got the opportunity to experience Osmos, a new way to teach kids. Connor, what's Osmos?
Osmos is a new technology that allows teachers to use iPads in new, fun, and interactive ways.
Let's go see what it's all about.
Osmos, a fun new way for kids to learn at school. A reflective lens allows the iPad to see what is directly in front of it. This allows you to play fun learning games.
The Osmo is used to do an interactive feature for a bunch of different curriculum topics, including numbers and words, as well as art and mathematical computation. So it allows the students to get some feedback and interactivity, and they can do it individually or in groups.
Many elementary classrooms are using the new technology called Osmos. Yes.
I think my favorite part of using Osmos is it allows my kids to use technology and really challenge their thinking as well. When we use words or the math tools, it allows them to work independently and show what they know by solving puzzles.
I think it's allowing students to learn in a different environment, but also to be able to interact on their own, because the Osmo does give them the feedback they need, so it allows them to be creative, but also to be independent.
It benefits them by allowing them to work independently, by using technology as a big motivator for them, and it benefits them by giving them time to practice the skills that they're taught in my classroom.
We are looking forward to seeing more improvements in this technology.
Another way kids have learned is through the power of coding. I have Caleb Walker here to talk about the coding club.
Yeah, I went down to the elementary lab on Monday and Tuesday is when they do it. It's after school event. And I talked to some teachers and kids. And it seems like a really fun way kids can learn how to edit and play games.
Let's check it out.
The coding club is kind of a cool club where kids can learn how to code games. And then when they learn to code the game, they can create the game. It kind of gives them cool experience for when they get older and possibly go to college. They could learn how to make really good games and sell them and make it out a career.
What is Coding Club?
Yeah, so Code Club is a club we created this year, this fall, to get kids interested in building video games. And we've got about 30 kids, and we meet one day a week for about an hour and a half to 2 hours and teach kids how to build video games. We started last Christmas with a code boot camp out at Sioux Falls Christian, and there was great interest for us to come back and do something and continuing that education with the kids. Well, it's great to see the kids just go and explore. They go way beyond what we'd ever expected them to do. And a lot of times the material we cover, they go through it real quick, and then they go to build and create all new things. And it's just great to see them build things that we hadn't even thought of.
What do the kids like about it the most?
Well, all kids like video games, so it's really interesting to see them build things that they really like, as part of it.
Overall, the Coding Club is a great experience where most kids can learn about coding and building video games.
As you can see, there are a lot of exciting and new things happening at SFC. We hope you enjoyed these stories, and until next time, I'm Jack Scott with SFC Student News. Thanks for watching.